What's up, YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and we've got another mixed coin roll hunt in front of us. It's mostly customer wrap stuff. We do have a little bit of Loomis wrap, but we've got $60 worth of nickels, $200 worth of quarters, and $50 worth of dimes that I'm excited to get into. And we're looking for all sorts of stuff from errors to silver to W's to war nickels, buffalo nickels, even those new coveted 2024 and I say 2025 nickels, but I'm not sure those are worth anything. The 2024 Phillies and Denvers, though, definitely going to have an eye out for those in our nickels. So with that, let's jump into all of this change. So like most of our mixed coin roll hunts, we are going to start with the dimes because they have the absolute least to look for. And I pretty much now spot check for silver and then move on. So we're going to go ahead and open each and every roll on camera. If we're not finding anything, we will fast forward to the end. And if there's any kind of wrap up, I'll be sure to show you what I pull. But I am basically just going to look through these by sight. If anything jumps out at me that's old or super shiny or a proof or something like that, I'll be sure to bring you back in. But the silver we'll be able to tell just from edge hunting because your silver dimes are going to have a solid gray or silver edge. And it is pretty darn easy to spot just by looking at the edge of the coins. Now in our last dime hunt, we did end up with one roll that had like 5 foreigns in it. That was kind of fun and interesting. But I'm not hoping that we repeat that because for every cool foreign we find, it does cost us a dime in our return. And I don't like foreigns that much. So I'm sorry that roll kind of fell apart on me. So I'm just checking a little bit at a time here. But we'll go ahead and be quiet and we'll fast forward until we find something. All right, we do have one shiny in here, right there. What's that? There's nothing on that. Nothing too special. All right, well, we've got something foreign in there. Let's bring this roll back up here. So right here, we've got a foreign. I'll try to zoom in on that so you can see it. Got kind of a gray guy right there. That's just some gunk on it, but let's see. We've got ourselves a Canadian. Well, I lost my magnet, but what do we have here? We got a 10-cent Canadian from what year? Back here? 1980 something. 1987. So a foreign dime on the hunt, and that's it so far. Here. All right, well, that's going to do it for our dimes. Not seeing any silver. I'll go clean these things up, and as I get them re-rolled, I'll eyeball a couple of these. And if we happen to find anything interesting, I'll be sure to bring you in. So nothing else interesting in those dimes other than our one foreign, and I'm going to go ahead and just get like 3 or 4 of these nickel rolls open and see if we got any oldies in here, or maybe even in something new. Just to go through them on camera with you before we go into a real deep hunt, looking at each and every nickel. 87. 2003. Nothing really jumping out in these, but like I said, we'll go back through them one at a time and bring in as we find things. Now, nickels are fun to hunt. There's lots and lots to look for. As I said in the intro, there's buffalo nickels, there's V nickels, and then there's a whole host of varieties out there that can be fun to look for, including those war nickels, which are 1942 to 1946. And they are made of 35% silver, and silver has been on a tear of late, reaching up over $38 an ounce, and they're saying it's going to keep going higher. So nothing too old poking out of there. Now, it's very possible I'm missing stuff, guys. I'm just kind of doing this real quick to see if anything does just jump right out, or if we've got some silver in here. And like I said, we'll go off camera and come back in. I'll show you each of the years. Now, we typically keep, I say we on this channel, we, myself, and all of my viewers out there, we do keep track of everything 1959 and earlier. We hang on to it. And I did come across this one here. We got ourselves a 1955. And unfortunately, it is that Denver. And I think we are always on the lookout for the Philly. Also, we're looking for that off camera there. Also looking for that 1950. Those are a couple that have been really hard for us to find. So that'll be our first find on the hunt. And I'll go ahead and go off camera. I'll go through, and as I find stuff that's 59 and earlier, I'll be sure to bring you in and we'll take a look together. So we got rolls 4 and 5 laid out, and as I kind of spread them out, we came across 2 coins of interest. The first being this old looking guy here, which is a 1939, which is the second year of the Jefferson nickel. And we do have a Philadelphia, and we always want to check all of our 39s for the double die reverse. As well as, I can't remember if it's the 38 or 39. I think they have a double die obverse as well. And both of them are really obvious, even under this type of magnification. We'd want to find it in the lettering. I'm not seeing it on the front or the back of this coin. I will check it under the scope, and if I find anything, I'll let you know. But in roll number 5, we also had something jump out here. We've got ourselves a foreign. See, we've got ourselves a Canadian 2001 nickel. So we've lost a nickel in the U.S., but picked up a little Canadian. So we've got rolls 6 and 7 out, and coming out of roll 7 right on the end, we had our another little find here, a 1940. In decent shape for a 40s nickel. I even flipped that over wrong. But we've got ourselves a Philly, so we're going to put that on the board as a find. And that's probably post-mint damage and not any kind of die crack or anything like that, but a 40s on the hunt. Still in roll number 7, and we've come across our first 2024 of the hunt, the 24 Philly. These guys are extremely low mintage and going for quite a bit of money on eBay, individually and by the roll. So hang on to your 24 Phillies and your 24 Denvers. Your Denvers are actually worth quite a bit more. So I've got roll 16 and 17 out. I'm going to show you a couple of things we found. All the way back in roll like 11 and 12, we did come across 2 kind of interesting nickels. This is a 1995 Philly that is a severely grease-struck die here, grease-struck coin. You can see we can hardly make out a lot of the lettering. Now, this coin has definitely seen better days, but this is what a terribly grease-filled die will get you. Thought that was kind of interesting, so we pulled that aside. And I did come across a 2009 Denver. Now, the 2009 Philly and Denver were extremely low mintage years. A lot of collectors hang on to them. But what I find interesting is they're not too much higher than what we see in the current 2024 Philly and Denver. But those things are going for mad prices on eBay. And these 2009s don't do as well. The other thing I found, though, is it's really hard to find a really high-quality 2009 Denver at this time. Obviously, we are, 26 years away from it, but most of the ones I find kind of look like this. Now, the other reason I'm bringing you in is we finally got a roll with something in it that isn't supposed to be there. Unfortunately, it's a couple of more foreigns that we got here, and I don't even know what they are. Looks like some sort of Asian coin. It's very, very light, and it's a 1-something. If I can identify this through like Numismatics.com, I'll go ahead and throw that up on the screen. I have no idea what that is, but we got not just one of them. Looks like we have 2. Feel like aluminum. Yeah, I mean, it's super light, super thin. I feel like I could almost break that with my hands. So anyway, a couple more foreigns on the hunt. Getting into roll number 18. We're about halfway through. Got our next little find here. We've got ourselves a 1957. Looks like we have a Denver for the board. Getting through roll 19, and this is how the coin came up. Now, I've already seen the front of it, so that's how I knew to bring you in. As you can see, we've got a Philadelphia strike here, but I was surprised when we flipped it over to find that we have ourselves a 1950 Philadelphia, which is a semi-key date. If I bring you over here into my new 2026 red book, you'll see here our 1950 Philadelphia, only 9.79 million minted. That 50D is a lot harder to come by at 2.63 million, and it's one of the few holes left in my nickel album, so I'm still on the lookout for a 50D in a circulated roll of nickels. Well, not so fast. I was so excited about that 1950 that the coin right behind it, as you can see, looks pretty old. We've got a Denver mint mark. Again, I've already checked the front, but we've got a pretty beat up 1940D to go with our existing 1940, wherever it is over here, 1940 Philly. Well, we've reached sort of the end of our nickels. We're getting through roll 29 and 30, and we've come across our probably last find, but I guess we'll see here in the last roll and a half. But we've got ourselves a 1954 San Francisco. Now, I did go ahead and check the reverse before I brought you in, because this one does have an S over D and an S over S mint mark. And this one just kind of looks interesting. I don't think it's going to be the S over S or S over D. It looks like it may be more of a machine doubling type situation here, but you can see I've got a little bit of a ghosted S here underneath the main mint mark. So I'm not sure. I've checked that out under a regular loop. I've also gone about as high as the magnification on this scope will go. And I'm just not quite sure. Part of me wants to say this is more of a machine doubling situation, but if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments down below. It's something I'll definitely hang on to either way. And for this one, it's, I've checked it against Variety Vista pictures. I've checked it against the Strike It Rich with Pocket Change book, and just none of them look quite like this one. So not sure what I have here. If it is the S over S, that would be kind of a cool find. And as I said, I will put it aside just in case. Well, that's going to do it for the nickels, and it wasn't a bad little hunt for just 30 rolls. I pretty much brought you in for all of our 39 through 57 finds. So there they are real quick. I'm not going to call them all out to you, but we went through each one as we found them. Now, I didn't show you every single one of these, but we ended up with 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 2024 Philadelphias. I mentioned earlier in the video, check these things out on eBay. They're going for a decent amount of money. So I'm pulling all of them right now. And if you can come across a full box of 2024 Phillies or Denvers, make sure you check eBay prices before you just dump those back to the bank, because they are going for quite the premium. Now, I did find this on Numismatics.com. This is, in fact, a Japanese 1 yen piece. And I was correct. It does feel super light. It is made of aluminum. Of course, we had that Canadian 2001. And we had that one really good grease die and a 2009 Denver. So, like I said, not a bad little hunt. I wish I'd found a war nickel or two. That would have been really nice, or maybe even a buffalo, but beggars can't be choosers. Good nickels all together. And with that, we're going to get up to the final rolls in the hunt, these last 20 rolls of quarters. So let's get started by opening a couple 2 or 3 rolls of quarters just to see if we get lucky and find any silver in here and get a sort of a state of what these quarters look like. Now, I kind of go back and forth. I can go years without finding silver quarters, and then they can come kind of fast and furious with one in every hunt. But more often than not, I am skunked. So we look for silver the same way as we would look for anything else. We would hunt these edges for just a solid gray line. And beware, those Canadian quarters can fool you, because those Canadian quarters look a lot like our quarters, and they are a solid silver edge. They just don't weigh as much, and they aren't worth near as much. So we do have a lot of shiny stuff in here. We'll probably have a lot of the new 2024s. It's actually a really nice 2008 there. Okay, well, it looks like we've got nice circulated quarters. I'll go off camera and just start bringing you in as we find things. So we're cleaning up roll number 1 of the first 5 that I got open, and we've come across one of the 2015, I think it's the Nebraska Philadelphia minted quarter, and you can see very clearly here we have one of the numerous DDRs that is available on that corner. We've got a little doubling in the window right here, second row. I'll put a picture of the exact DDR this is from Variety Vista. I've actually already looked it up, and I believe it is the DDR028, which we'll throw on the screen. But this guy has tons and tons of things to look for. Die chips on the roof, die chips under the bucket, otherwise known as the leaky bucket, and the die chips on the roof or the snow on the roof. And then there's about 80 to 100 different DDRs that can be found down in those little windows. So these Nebraskas can be a lot of fun to look at. But first, real error on the hunt, or variety on the hunt. And of course, I've been pulling my one single 2009 that I've come across so far. Getting through roll number 2, and this is something we haven't found in a good long while, and that is a San Francisco business strike. Now, for these quarters, there is a San Francisco proof as well, and it's pretty easy to tell the difference. You would have frosted details and a full mirror background on the reverse and the obverse. And the San Francisco business strikes are just a little bit nicer finish, quite frankly. These guys are super low mintage, but we've got a San Francisco there. It is the 2013 White Mountain, New Hampshire. I'll put the mintage on the screen, but these things are pretty low, but surprisingly do not sell well for some unknown reason. But pretty cool find on the hunt. So we're done with those customer wrapped, and we didn't have a whole lot to show for it. We did come across a couple of really nice bicentennial Denver quarters. We had the one error I showed off, and then a smattering of decent looking 2009s through 2011s, which I always hang on to. And of course our one San Francisco business strike, which has seen better days, but I do hang on to all of those that I find. So it was a little strange and a little kind of, what's the word? Refreshing. It wasn't 10 rolls of all 2023s and 2024s. It was a lot of older, state quarters and 70s and 80s coins to look at. So it was kind of neat. Of course, we're going to get into these Loomis, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of the new stuff. So let me get you up on the rack, and we'll open a couple 3 rolls together and see what they look like. Okay, well, let's get into roll number 1 here. And just like I said, we've already got some enders with some new quarters, or relatively new quarters. So I'm not seeing too much bling in there. A couple, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 that look like they'll probably end up being the new stuff. So again, lots of circulated coins. I see one kind of blingy one. Let's just pull it out to see what we have. 2024 Philly is one of the new Dr. Mary Edwards. So we'll see some of the new stuff for sure. And let's do one more. Another new coin ender. And no silver, but a little bit more shiny stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 probably new quarters. So let me get through these. I'll bring you in as we find stuff. So we're getting into roll 11, so the first roll of these Loomis wrapped, and I'm bringing you in because I found a coin that I show off a lot in my quarter hunts. This is the 2020, I think it's the 2024P, 2023P, Marietta Chief. Now there's a die chip in the little feathers of her hat, but what's interesting about this one is that it's probably one of the largest die chips I've ever found for this particular quarter. Typically, you get a little piece extra metal right in here, but you can see we've got metal that's coming almost all the way down here to the end. So pretty cool, really large die chip, happy to have it. We'll put it up here with our DDR. So we're getting through roll 12, and we've come across another die chip. Now, I've only found a couple of these. Now, this one's on the new 2024 Philadelphia. This is that new Zitkala Sa, or however you pronounce that. But there is a couple of interesting things I have found that that little dove or that little bird's got issues. And on this particular one, we have a great big old die chip up on the bird's neck. And it looks like we even have a little bit down here on the tail. Now, I have also found a DDR on this guy where we've got some doubling down here. And I have found a couple of different variations of this die chip. So I'm kind of excited about this one because I don't have a whole lot of them. So it's just always nice to add more to the stash. So let's keep on hunting. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our quarters, and I did pull quite a bit of stuff, and I brought you in for most of the, at least the first finds of all these things. I'll go back through all of it, and I'll let you know what I'm going to keep and what I'm likely going to throw back to the bank. So, starting over here, we've just got a couple of really nice state quarters that might be upgrades for my state book. I haven't checked it out yet. If they are, they'll be very minor. Now, I did come across one of the new 2024D. This is the Mary Edwards Walker. I have 2 sets of books that I've done for my kids, and I am missing one of those. So I know I've got a book filler there. Probably my favorite thing on the hunt, though, was this San Francisco business strike. It's been a good long while since we found one of those. This is the White Mountain, New Hampshire from 2013. So pretty cool. Now, we did come across a number of errors, and I brought you in for the first find on each one. We did end up with 2 of the Marietta Chiefs, and this is closer to, and I'll zoom in here. This is what we normally see, that little tiny die chip right there. And what I thought was exciting about this one is that die chip is gigantic. It comes all the way to the end. So I think that's pretty cool. We're going to hang on to both of those. I had never seen this die chip in the bird's neck before, and we ended up finding 4 of those. I covered that in more detail earlier in the hunt. And of course, we have the 1 DDR. And like I said, there's about 100 of these out there, and it's in one of those windows. Again, I covered it in a lot more detail earlier in the video. Down below, it's a lot of kind of basic stuff. I do pull all my bicentennials just to A, to see how many I get, and B, rolls of the P&D, or the really nice ones I create rolls out of, and I'll occasionally sell those on eBay. Of course, the Denver, we always check for the DDO, and I am still coming up sort of blank on those, but there's 1 or 2 of the Denvers I'll hang on to. I'll probably pitch the Phillies back. And then, of course, we had a couple of 2009s, a couple of 2010s, and a couple of 2011s. These were all very low mintage quarters, so I usually hang on to the nicer ones. Some of the ones that are kind of gunky, like this one, this Duke Ellington, I'll pitch that back. But I do hang on to rolls of these as well. So we're going to end the video here because I'm out of coins. Now, I'm not going to go back and recap the nickels and the dimes. If you just fast forward to the end, you'll have to go back to the video to see how those turned out. But I enjoyed this one. I hope you did too. If you did, let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, make sure you click on that like button. And if you're new to the channel and you like coin roll hunts, I try to do a lot of them. So make sure you click on that subscribe button and then click that little bell so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. Special shout out to all my channel members. Thank you guys for supporting the channel each and every month. And with that, we're going to call it a video. I hope you guys are all doing well, enjoying your summer. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.